Good morning. I like these little chit-chats, unscripted, off-the-cuff little chit-chats, because it frees me to say whatever I want to say, and it's unscripted, so it comes straight from my heart. Today is Wonderful Wednesday. It's the 1st of May, 2024. And what I really want to talk about is boxes and labels. Now, I will want to warn you that because of my love for photography, occasionally you're going to see some pictures pop up that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I just like to show off my love for nature. Love for nature. Now, you know, parents have this thing that they know everything and they tell their kids all kind of stories about all kind of stuff. You know, when I grew up, I was so poor that I couldn't even eat 3 meals a day. So now that I'm rich, I don't want my kids to suffer, so they will go out and buy their kid a sports car, and the kid will promptly kill himself with that sports car. It happens all the time. I use sports cars as a metaphor. The point is, you were poor and you made it on your own. But because of your ego, you don't want your child to have the same experience. And that's a shame. What about my children? Well, my children don't listen to me. And that's the way it ought to be. And that is because I tell all my children, number one, be happy in whatever you do. Number two, whatever you choose to do, remember there are rewards and consequences. So choose wisely. And the third thing is, as an adult, blame yourself for your success or your failure. Now let's get back to these boxes and labels. You're either a rich person or a poor person. And about those boxes and labels, you live in a box with rich people or a box with poor people. You're either black or white. Of course, you can be convinced to be anything because the race is an arbitrary thing. There is no such thing as race. But a race is used by politicians to control people. And people who don't think for themselves will always buy into it. Why? Because politicians will attach the word culture to it. You got to uphold your ethnicity. You got to uphold your culture. You got to uphold your race. Be proud of your race. Okay, fine. So long as it works for you. Or another box with a label is you are an entrepreneur or you're not an entrepreneur. Another box with a label is that you are a master at what you do or you are the slave to the master of what he does or she does. The box with labels. So the thing is, you need to understand what box you're in and what label is attached to that box. Let's take the one about entrepreneurs, for example. I was stationed in Cuba. And while in Cuba, my friend Joe Culver taught me a lot about the newspaper business. So when I wanted, and I really loved the newspaper business, by the way. I mean, I love it. Can you imagine printing out a story that will have some influence on someone, or shooting a picture that will have an influence on someone? It's intoxicating. So, after I retire, I tried my hand at publishing a newspaper. I call it the Shilling. Now, the newspaper business I went into because of my love for doing it, okay? So, success or failure, it didn't matter because I loved doing what I was doing. So, here's the thing. If you choose to be an entrepreneur in the United States of America, there is an organization called SCORE. It doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor or educated or not, you get in contact with SCORE. And SCORE will put you with an expert in that field. And that expert will tell you how to succeed in that field. What is SCORE? Service Corps of Retired Executives. And they are just itching to tell you everything they know to make you a success. So I went to SCORE and I said, I want to publish a newspaper. And he says, fine. I was a publisher. Okay. And he went down the list and says, first of all, in a newspaper, you make money with advertising. And people will advertise in your newspaper if you have the circulation. If you don't have the circulation, you simply will not get people to spend money to advertise. And how do you get circulation? Well, you do that through distribution. And the more you distribute, the higher your circulation and the more you make in advertising. My next question is, well, where do I get the stories from to publish in my newspapers? And then, Service Corps of Retired Executives. They are the best. I mean, the absolute best organization in the world. So I said, well, you either pay for it or you accept it free. You see how simple it is? You pay for your stories or you accept it free. If you accept it free, you go to North American Press Syndicate, NAPS. So long as you understand that these stories are written by manufacturers, the people who own the companies, their service owners and whatever. So they're going to be slanted to their benefit, which does not necessarily mean that the stories aren't good. As a matter of fact, they're very good. Give an example. How to store your meat and let it last almost indefinitely. And it's published by a refrigeration company. The information is excellent. Or how to can your own food. And they give you these sort of stories. How to buy life insurance. How to. And you get those at NAPS, North American Press Syndicate. So, there I am. I started my newspaper. It was called The Shilling. And everything was fine. What I did to get business, I would go into a business and I was using my skill as a photographer and I would create an ad, and in return I would ask the business owner if I could put my stand in their business and offer my newspapers free. Why free? Because you make your money with the advertisers. And they would say, sure. Why? Because they know that they're getting free advertising. All they have to do is give me a little space where I put my stand and people would get my newspapers and all was fine. All was good with the world. However, my printer was bought out by a company in New York. And he said, Dave, I simply cannot print your newspapers anymore because they want to be exclusive, to print only their stuff. The problem is I could not find another printer. So that was the end of The Shilling. You see how simple that is? But while I did it, I had a lot of fun doing it. I made no money on it, but I had a lot of fun doing it. And there it was. And then I got involved with something else, clean water. Because I believe in clean water. You have to drink water. Water is the thing that flushes your system. Take the toxicity out of your system. Clean water. So I learned everything about it. How to change the city water into pure drinkable water. Reverse osmosis, for example. Okay? So I got involved with a company that sold one of the best clean water system in the country. And I was so involved because I loved what I did. I was giving people clean water. And I became the third best salesman in the country. The problem is, I was too good. You say, what does that mean? Well, I sold a system to a lady, and after I got back into my car, I understood clearly she could not afford the system. So I went back to my boss and says, this sale, we need to cancel this sale because she can't afford it. So my boss, duly respect my opinion. He called the lady and he told her, says, look, I'm sorry, but we cannot sell you this system. And he was very diplomatic and very polite about it. And she says, well, why not? She said, because we took a look at how much money you make and the cost of the system, and it would be quite a financial burden for you. What we will do is substitute something way less. A system that would just clean your drinking water rather than your whole house system. And the lady got very angry. Who are you to tell me what I can or cannot afford? And then I got out of that business. And there you have it. So now what I do is I simply live on my meager income under the name of Microdac, and I love what I do. I love it, I love it, I love it. If you want to buy my pictures, you're free to do so. I won't stop, it's your choice. But my fun is in shooting the pictures and in sharing the pictures. So a lot of my pictures I share for free. That's right. And now I just went over the 10 million mark as far as viewers are concerned. 10 million. But I also sell my pictures that nobody buys because pictures are sort of anachronistic. You know, very few people want to buy pictures. If you go into an office, you'll always see a big picture that they bought at a wholesale place. Big picture. Probably meaningless. It doesn't matter. I can't compete with that company. I can't. But every once in a while you'll find somebody, as a matter of fact last month, somebody bought one of my murals, a 16 by 20, a 16 by 20 that I had put on sale because it wasn't selling. So they paid $35 for it and it's now on somebody's wall. See? People will almost always exercise their choice. If I shoot something that they like, they will buy it. So there you have it. I will tell you this. The bottom line is always be happy. To be happy, think for yourself. Find out what box they put you in. Find out what the label is and be the very best in that box. Rich or poor. If you're rich, fine. Use your money to help others. If you're poor, then what you do, because you cannot increase your income, you make your dollars have more value. So you can't increase your income, so you increase the value of your dollars. Instead of buying a loaf of bread for $4, you buy it for $1. And then you use a bread knife to cut your bread. That's what I'm talking about. So, recognize what boxes you're in, what label is on it, and be the best at whatever that is. And if you choose to be an entrepreneur, which is what I recommend, because then you're using your skill, your craft, to be the absolute best at doing what you love. And if you can make a living, that is, if you can provide food, shelter, transportation, the basic needs, and you have a peace of mind, then you're a success. That's all I wanted to tell you on this wonderful Wednesday. Did you enjoy looking at my videos of my animals throughout this little chit-chat? I hope you did, because I tell you, excuse me, I enjoy my birds, and above it all, I enjoy sharing my pictures and my videos with you.